Hey, how you going? Trying to work this thing out. Okay. I might stir some people up with this video, but I'm gonna share it. I don't care. You guys are gonna see what I see. If you're in Canberra, get the hell out now when you can. Something big is gonna go on soon. I just feel it. It's in the gut. I can't get rid of it. It's been this sinking feeling for a few days. Get out while you can. This is something bad.
You know how for the last few days I've had this feeling of, stuff happening in Canberra, like a false flag. Get out of Canberra. Something is about to happen. I can just feel it. Just get out. Don't be there. Seriously, it's... I just can't shake this.
I'm going to do. My name's Steve. I spent 15 years of my life fighting the government to give you the flag that you're all flying today. You're all flying a flag with no authority, I'm sorry to tell you. You fucked up so badly that you put yourselves in danger. Real war danger. You don't think, and you fucked up my work. Big time fucked up my work. You're greedy. You're selfish. You would fucking knock someone down.
This bloke here, I don't trust him one bit. And he's always dressed like that. I just do not trust him. Apparently he's some old general that was in the Australian Army. I just don't trust him. So there's been a gun found apparently. It's setting up. I'm trying to find the video where they raised the flag. Not looking good. This is the other video that Steve was talking about where they went in with the flag onto the foreign land, which is the parliament, because it's run by the UN, taking in the Aboriginal flag and the red ensign, and then having Craig Kelly carry on. And he had 20 years in parliament to do something about it. He is part of the club. Don't fall for it. These guys are inciting violence. They're carrying on saying peaceful, but it's inciting. It's got to stop. Video that they were talking about with the flag and what happened. So apparently they went to the Governor General's house and raised the red ensign, basically declaring war. So the red ensign was raised. They're taking it down to put the blue one back up. The red one is the ocean, the blue one is the land. So they took the red one, the ocean, into a foreign land. They don't even realize what they're doing. Not good. You guys need to get out of Canberra and stop this. It's gonna make it hard for the rest of us. You should be using your God-given rights. The Melbourne War Memorial. Something's coming. Something's coming. I can just feel it. Rise of the Peoples, the Commonwealth of Australia national flag. It's this red ensign. This is not an article we have pleasure putting together, as we'd rather spend our valuable time in other discussions. However, with the amount of delusion information being pushed by certain groups and individuals over the last few years, it's one we feel absolutely necessary to address. There be dragons added to historical facts of the red ensign, and indeed many are running rampant. Addressing the deliberate misinformation agendas can be a challenge for any sane, logical, critical, self-thinking, governing adult, individual, or sound body and mind. After all, the moment one even attempts to disagree with these people, the attacks start flying in all directions like an internet superhighway with no end in sight. These people have truly thrown common sense out the window. The truth is, the Red Ensign flag has many depicted faces, however, only 3 had a significant rightful place in the Commonwealth of Australia documented histories. 5 if you include UK. Red Duster, civilian flag, and the Churchill Flag, both being Red Ensign flags also. From their unsubstantiated claims and undocumented facts to misinterpretations of biblical doctrines and false claims of pending flag history, it is mind-bending to say the least. Most of the arguments in the public arena stem from the viewpoint and agenda in regards to the Red Ensign flag of the people. So let's strap in and clear up these misconceptions and more once and for all. This article are backed by facts by official documentation. We here at Sovereign Australia are extremely concerned about the amount of misguided, misinformation, misinterpreted information you're seeing coming from many individuals. We have made every attempt to keep this information purely with the facts about any dragons added. We sincerely hope that people seek and see the truth and stop with the division. Let's get on with the information. There are claims to our knowledge that the newspaper article published some time ago back in 1863 is the answer to the Red Ensign argument, including photographs depicting a 6-point star of David design. It is from this information that these individuals claim to be legitimate factual information that seem to be the cornerstone of their argument. Well, when asked for factual documentational information to back these claims, this is their normal point. We are not here to spoon feed you retard fools. Yep, nice one, guys. Very immature. Now, they also like to tie various other treaties, like the Treaty of Ghent, Treaty of Versailles, and many others, which did in fact play a huge role in a lot of the trespass against the free people of the world, on the planet as we know it today. However, they'd like to add their own special flavour to the interpretation of these events, as they've done in regards to this Kingdom of Australia, and claim the federal Red Ensign flag. In fact, these individuals have claimed a few names for this flag. Land flag, King's flag, federal flag, and so on. This leaves the door open to debate. We have addressed these treaties and histories in other articles. We've also, in regards to the Red Ensign, I think it goes to the Hague Convention, like with our land, I think. I'm not sure. But from memory, I think it's Hague. We shall attempt to keep the article as short as possible without losing the context of the history of the time. Many of the acts are trespassed against us that has transpired, so keep in mind as we progress. However, in this article, we shall concentrate on the claim of a Kingdom of Australia and the federal Red Ensign flag, as we don't normally get into the misinformation pool that others produce. However, in this case, we must. Link to the newspaper article here. Leave the links in the description. The fact that this may or may not have been discussed is not an issue. In fact, many ideas were indeed discussed in great detail, and many heated discussions transpired during the unification of the colonial state colonies at the time, and our now Commonwealth Australia, as well as the formation of the new Commonwealth Constitution. This is normal practice when creating something new in the Empire of Great Britain. However, this doesn't mean it actually transpired into reality. Obviously, it never did, as we remained a self-governing colony under British law until we became self-determining, self-governing subdivision of the Empire of Great Britain called the Commonwealth of Australia. This is fact, not fiction. Some people claim that anyone flying the Red Ensign, other than the one they claim is correct, are disloyal and disrespectful to our anzacs. This is incorrect. We are merely just pointing out the documented facts anyone can find online with any good library or government system. We hope to do all through our own thorough research on the subject matter. You, the individual, have the right to choose your own path. Here is the article. We will show you and explain the true facts and factual documents that back up yet another fact that many still truly misguided, mistaken. However, as usual, we shall let you, the reader, decide that all your rights. But we ask you to consider this information in full before making that decision. Be it Sovereign Australia. Let's begin. Call it indoctrination, cognitive dissonance, ignorance, laziness, or even just plain boring. Call it what you want. However, it is apparent many Aussies have forgotten the history of Australia and forgotten who they are and the battles that had to get this far. These are the true facts in regard to our Red Ensign flags of the Commonwealth of Australia. Debunk it all you like. We welcome it. The mighty Red Ensign flag, the Commonwealth of Australia, the people's civil, merchant, national flag, and the histories behind its conception. Back in 1901, the Federation of Australia had no official flag to fly other than the Union Jack, so Parliament set up a flag design competition. And also, as a friend pointed out, Yas pointed out, about 1901, is 9/11, their favourite date again. Their competition was gazetted in April 1901. However, no flag was recorded as it was still to be chosen. 1901 Competition Gazette, Flag Competition Documents, Competition Guidelines, Commonwealth of Australia Gazette, number 27, Commonwealth of Australia, Prime Minister's Office, 29th of April 1901. I don't think there's supposed to be a Prime Minister under, I think it was supposed to be a Governor General. The Government of the Commonwealth of Australia invite competitive designs for Federation flags, such as designs to be forwarded by post or otherwise not later than 31st of May 1901. Designs will be judged by a board to be appointed by the federal government for the purpose, and the sum of £75 will be paid to the designer of that selected as best. Each competitor will be required to forward 2 coloured sketches, one for merchant service and the one for naval or official use, no less than 6 inches by 3 inches in size. All designs must be endorsed on the cover Commonwealth flag and must be addressed to the Secretary of the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Australia, Melbourne. The original capital was between Melbourne and Adelaide. It was divided between Melbourne and Adelaide. Originally, it was to be Adelaide. They wanted it to be Adelaide, but I think it ended up Melbourne. Each design must bear a motto or nom de plume and must accompany by a sealed envelope bearing its face, the motto or nom de plume, with which the designer signed, and enclosing the name and address of the designer. Successful design will be submitted to the Imperial authorities. The award of the board, however, will be final, and the prize will be given in accordance with the decision, even if the design be not accepted by the Imperial authorities. Edmund Barton. This means the winners will be paid even if the design is rejected, not the design being final, even if rejected. Note, right here above is yet more evidence that the people did not exactly choose the flags. A parliamentary board did. However, these people claim the people did. The board were aware it may not even be accepted as stated above. People submitted many designs. The entries were put on display at the Royal Exhibition Building in Melbourne, and the judges took 6 days to deliberate before reaching their conclusion. 5 almost identical entries were chosen as the winning designs, and the designers shared the £200, $29,142.12 prize money. They were Ivor Evans, a 14-year-old schoolboy from Melbourne, Leslie John Hawkins, a teacher apprentice to an optician from Sydney, Egbert John Nuttall, architect from Melbourne, Anne Dorrington, an artist from Perth, and William Stevens, a ship officer from Auckland, New Zealand. The 5 winners received £40 each. And see, back then, New Zealand was part of the Federation, I think. Differences from the present flag were 6-pointed Commonwealth star, while the component stars in the Southern Cross had different numbers of points, with more if the real star was brighter. This led to 5 stars of 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5 points respectively. A simplified version of the competition winning designs was submitted to a British Admiralty for entry into the Register of Flags on December 1901. And these people claim we are flying Admiralty flags. Remember this for later in the article. Should we inform these people why all our ensigns are placed on the register? Obviously, so ships of war and everyone else can tell if you're a civilian, of course, or official Gulf Coast ship or yacht. Common sense. Prime Minister Edward Barton announced in the Australian and the Commonwealth Gazette that Edward V had officially recognised the design as the flag of Australia on 11th of February 1903, and that Gazette is provided in the article. So let's look at a few definitions of the 1901 Gazette before we. What's the definition of civil? Civil is relating to ordinary civilians and their concerns as distinct ecclesiastical matters. What's the definition? A civilian is a man or woman not in the armed services or the police force. What's the definition of merchant service? Merchant service work as an intermediary between a bank or a man or a woman or an organisation wanting to receive funds and the man or woman organising to looking to purchase goods or services. A merchant service provider will provide businesses and individuals with payment requirements to accept cheques, loans, credit cards, debit cards, and all forms of payment, including electronic payment today, for the transaction to take place. What's a merchant definition? A merchant is a man or woman or a company involved in a wholesale trade, especially one dealing with foreign countries or supplying goods to a particular trade. Intermediate meaning. Intermediately is defined as happening between 2 people or 2 events, functioning as a middle ground to solve the dispute between 2 people. Naval definition. Naval means belonging to, relating to, or involving a country's navy. What is official use of definition? Relating to authority or public body and its activities and responsibilities, the Prime Minister's official engagements, a man or a woman holding public office or having official duties, especially as a representative of an organisation or government department. Official use definition is a special duty, charge, or a position conferred by an exercise of the government authority and public purpose. A position for authority to exercise a public function and to receive whether emoluments may belong to it be a position of responsibility for some degree of execute authority. Commerce definition, an interchange of goods or commodities, especially on a large scale between different countries, foreign commerce, or between different parts of the same country, domestic commerce, the activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale, the then social dealings between the people, the noise and the warmth of human commerce. Both Parliament and the people deal in acts of commerce. With these clear definitions, one can easily ascertain what civil, mercantile, official, and all these other terms mean. So in layman terms, we were to design a flag to represent all merchant services, meaning by definition all men and women on land and waterways, all businesses including banks and building societies, all private citizens, pleasure craft, including and not limiting to sporting fields and more, including areas of commerce, red. B, we will design a flag for official use by definition, being Parliament to display on all government buildings and official offices, also dealing in commerce, blue, and Navy ships, white. So by clear definitions, one can clearly comprehend what was the purpose, people's red and white, what was for the government. Blue, following the traditional way of the Empire's use of ensigns. The white ensign was historically used in its unaltered form by the naval forces of Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, with the blue ensign of each of these dominions, as they were then known as Jack. The white and blue ensigns of His Majesty's fleet are purely maritime flags, and in general their use on shore is incorrect. There has, however, been a customary excursion to the use of the white ensign from the harbour ship used as a fleet establishment to barracks and other buildings. With these exceptions, the use of these ensigns on shore is improper. The white ensign is nothing else but a national colours of a ship of war commission. The red dust is a civil ensign of the United Kingdom and Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It is one of the British ensigns and is either used plain or defaced with a badge or other emblem, mostly in the right half. Remember that definition of civil from above? Yeah, well, all our red ensign flags were derived from this flag. This is why we hear the term civil merchant services. So by the clear definitions, one can easily ascertain these kingdom followers are pushing one heck of a silly agenda, claiming a lot of what they preach, especially stating we can only fly their flag, their approved design. Now, that is cleared up. Let's continue. From the completion, a few flags were picked. Parliament then picked a winner, and the unofficial pending red ensign with the Star of David design displayed, and then decided to send the winning flag off to England for approval. Here we see the first sketch of the pending flag from the competition below, printed in the newspaper. While waiting for that approval, Parliament allowed the Commonwealth people of Australia to fly as the unofficial pending flag of the Commonwealth of Australia. Commonwealth of Australia was now moving forward into the world stage. Not exactly traditional, however, it was allowed from 1901 until approval in 1903, official version by King Edward. Albert Edward was King of the United Kingdom, Great Britain and Ireland, and Emperor of India, and from 22nd of January 1901 until his death in 1910. The eldest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert of Saxon-Gotha, and nicknamed Bertie. King Edward, which is Queen Elizabeth's father. King Edward, a Protestant Imperial Crown King, sent back an approval design in late 1902 and later being gazetted for the number 8 of February 1903 with the Star of David removed and replaced by the star known today as the Pacific Star and also known as the Burma Star, which later in our history became a military medal under the reign of King George. There's something I'm going to add here too. I don't know, some people say that he didn't die, that he became Stalin, went in to play another character. Probably just a hogwash story, but I thought I'd add it. The Pacific Star become a service medal awarded to British and Commonwealth personnel who served in the Pacific between 8th of December 41 and 2nd of September 45. Yes, that's right, it became Anzac Star Medal, to our knowledge. Not the Star of David ever received such an honour to our Anzac. This 1903 version was first to gain royal approval and gazetted, as well as recorded in our Parliament Hansard reports, all of which is public knowledge if one chooses to open their eyes and look. So, being the first to receive the royal approval from the first in line and the first in time, now ask yourself why there's no information like this with the 1901 version. We have looked high and low for over 20 years. Sure, there's a newspaper article, however, no official gazette approved or recorded such is any of our Hansards that we've found. Could it be because the 1901 was never an official flag of the Commonwealth of Australia? We know it to exist as the unofficial pending flag. However, that's all it ever was with the sketch and winning competition flag. But what of having official legal constitutional standing? Nevertheless, the 1901 still has place of our pride in history, not just officially recognised, approved or gazetted history in our Hansard. In 1907, the Commonwealth of Australia gained PNG as part of its territories, with this prompting Parliament to change the Pacific Star design to that of a 7-point red ensign we see much today. It was put into place by Parliament and yet again by the way of no referendum in 1908, also gazetted and recorded in the Hansard reports. I have the honour of acknowledging the receipt of Lord Northcote's dispatch of number 194 of the 22nd July proposing the alteration in design of the Commonwealth flag by the substitution of a star with 7 points for a 6-pointed star which now appears beneath the Union Jack. This dispatch was laid before the Lord Commissaries of the Admiralty, and I hear now to transmit your Lordship for communication to your government. A warrant issued by their Lordship authorising the flag amended as desired to be flown by the vessels registered in the Commonwealth. The design of the corresponding star on the Commonwealth blue ensign and the star in the badge of the Governor-General will be similarly amended. Copies of each of the 3 amended designs, as they will eventually appear in the Admiralty flag book, will be forwarded to you in due course. In consequence of the issue and the closed warrant, the warrant dated 4th of June 1903 and enclosed by Mr. Chamberlain's dispatch miscellaneous on the 24th becomes obsolete, and I should be glad if you would be good enough to forward it to me in order that it may be returned to Admiralty for cancellation. So you see, all 3 versions have a place in history and historical significance, however, Hansard reported documents. So you see, all 3 should be able to be flown by a free Imperial Crown Commonwealth people. Now it's time to address the clear elephant in the room. Let's look at some claims from individuals. The claim that we have an occupied country is a fact. The claim that we have a specified coat of arms is also a fact, and it should be the horse. The unicorn and the lion is what it should be, not the kangaroo and the emu. The claim that we have specific line of authority dating back to July 1900 and might add further back, also fact. However, this claim to the Federal Red Ensign 1901 being the flag that the authority and lacking our Anzacs to the authority floating around is absolutely incorrect. And I was so pissed off the other day to hear the bugle play the last post down there. I was absolutely disgusted. Given the fact of what that building is, to play the last post was absolutely, it was just disgusting. We've already established that the fact that the first official Red Ensign flag was that of the 1903 version. Some people use the factual-based information and then skew and change the information into a false created narrative with a few large dragons and Hogwarts Academy and silky magic to suit the agenda to add it in. The problem is they have not gone back in our empire's history far enough to fully comprehend the size of the painting or the deliberate in the agenda. Here at Southern Australia always kept the name or our names of our authors and resource pool private to allow the information to speak for itself. We provide the direct links to the authors when required. We never wish to claim personal credit for such information as we believe it belongs to the people, not to mention sourced from many historical accounts like Parliament records and statistics, encyclopedias, Bibles, great authors and philosophers over the many ages of history. Everyone is entitled to opinion as well as their own perspective of events. However, modifications of that history or agenda make everyone as bad as those who have already changed it to deceive. Good or bad history, it must be preserved, for mankind is doomed to repeat it. Okay, let's continue. For the record, if AIF Anzacs were founded on the 15th of August 1914, what flag was flying then? Well, we know in 1908 red and blue ensign versions were official. However, our diggers would have had many personal belongings and flags dependent on what they had purchased and when they'd purchased them. Of course, one could not possibly know what our diggers owned at the time. However, if one looks deeper, there's a twist. The red ensign flag collection right around the time of the AIF in formation. So the first Australia Imperial Force in World War I. The Australian government established the Australian Imperial Force in August 1914 and immediately began recruiting men to serve the British Empire in war. The men in the Australian Imperial Force served in the Middle East and the Western Front during the war. Before the war, Australia's regular army was a young, evolving force when war broke out. It had been formed when the separate defence forces of 6 colonial states were joined with the Federation of Australia in 1901 under the awaiting approval of the unofficial pending red ensign and blue ensign flags. At this point, the only official flag was that the Union Jack. It would be a further 2 years or so before the Commonwealth had our own official flag of the Commonwealth of Australia. Before the war, the Army introduced 2 major changes. Compulsory military training started in 1909. The military organisation was restructured after Field Marshal Viscount Herbert Kitchener visited Australia in 1910. And I think the flag's also called Herbert Kitchener. The regular army was organised into Australian Infantry Regiment, foot soldiers, field companies, engineers, garrison artillery batteries, light horse brigades, mounted troops. All the time, Australian law didn't permit men in the regular army and the civilian forces, part-time reserves, to serve in wars overseas. Now, did you notice the name Herbert Kitchener? Well, it turns out there's also a red ensign flag of that name. Yeah, thought so. The flag was created the year after the creation of the AIF. The flag was also known as the Churchill Flag. My granddad had one of these, and my granddad met Churchill in the war. Got a photo of his grave, actually. But Herbert Kitchener flag history from the Australian War Memorial. It's little amounts of misinformation formed that create the narrative, and those of you who do not study history, unfortunately, you'll be easy to lead. Yeah. May 1927, opening of the old Parliament House. Now guess what flag was flying? So you got the Union Jack of the British Empire and the ensign, the red ensign. The first Parliament. Now, also, and it's quite significant and not much has been said about it, Parliament House door was set on fire in Aboriginal smoking ceremony not long ago. So this is damage, and it was the original doors. But yeah, she burnt. Whoa, okay. So India had their Parliament House set on fire twice in a week, similar to Australia. Whoa, I think there was another one as well. Hang on. So 3 countries and another one, South Africa, Parliament House set on fire. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. It's a bit strange. 3 in a short period of time. Australia, South Africa, India. What's going on? I'll have to check in, find out. Does anyone know? First Parliament of Commonwealth Australia was opened at the Melbourne Exhibition Building on, there you go, May 9th, 1901. 911. The new King of England, Edward, sent his son and heir, the Duke of Cornwall and York, to Australia to be his representative. Now, what flag was flying there? The Union Jack, of course, but what else? According to history, the New South Wales ensign, also known as the Federation flag, was also there too. The Australian Federation flag, also known as the New South Wales ensign, was the result of an attempt in the 1830s to create a national flag for the Commonwealth of Australia. Also, why did it take 130 years from when the time Cook came here, and he wasn't a captain, he was a master, from the time Cook came here to the Federation being formed? Why did it take 130 years? What went on in that time? From this information we can say without any doubt of the first Parliament opened with no red ensign or blue ensign on the Commonwealth of Australia. The first pending unofficial flag to fly. Only the blue Govco flag was the first flown from the exhibition building on Melbourne on the 3rd of September 1901, when the winning competition design was announced. This was a huge flag, 36 by 18 feet, made to order for the occasion. However, no red ensign flag for this occasion, other than the people flying theirs in the street and on the waterways. While the blue ensign of the Commonwealth of Australia first unveiled. After all, it wasn't until the 29th of April 1901 the Gazette was released for the flag competition, and such designs would be forwarded by post or otherwise no later than the 31st of May 1901. So this makes sense that the GovCo would fly theirs first. We at Sovereign have asked individuals many times to produce or provide gazetted approved and recorded information in regards to the 1901 federal red ensign to debunk these facts. However, they have not, cannot, or will not produce such information. Gazetted information is paramount importance, as one can see with the Flags Act in 1953. This is how we, the people, can see the trespass. All gazettes and the Hansard reports are official documents, transcripts that all come from floors of our Parliament. They are like having a concert ear or a fly on the wall on all the dealings and debates that happen within the wall of Parliament. Without them, we would have no transparency at all. Remember those definitions at the beginning of the article? Look at the BS on the 1953 Flag Act. According to the Documenting Democracy Flags Act 1953, instead we hear comments like, "I'm not going to spoon feed you retard fools alike." Seriously, with egos like that, one would be sure to take satisfaction rubbing our noses in it and make us look silly, wouldn't you think? Instead, they produce photos of our civilian population and our diggers flying the 1901 flag pending version. However, this is not factual documentation. In fact, it's nothing more than people actively promoting the unofficial first pending flag that the people were approved to fly by Parliament. And all the while, waiting for the real deal to be approved by the King, as many would have been proud to do in the time. After all, they were going to have a flag to call their own. In regards to our diggers flying them, well, why would they not? They owned them after they purchased them, and as one would expect, money was very tight back then, not to mention our forefathers didn't live in a throwaway society like we do today. Gee, even pants with holes were repaired and handed down, all patched up. Nothing was wasted. I guess these folks forget that, and we do. We have a disposable society where it's, planned obsolescence. There were hundreds and thousands of the 1901 official pending versions created by many, and as a pending flag, I'm sure our grandparents would not waste them. Come World War I and World War II, many of our diggers still had those flags, as things were built to last back then. Different to the property one owns throughout life today. Many awakened public today still fly blue ensign as they do, and would not throw away until they were stuffed. Seriously, how many today would throw them away undamaged, knowing the truth about them being a government instrument? Only a few, really. However, this doesn't make it correct, but many still do fly the blue for their own reasons. Not to mention our ADF Anzacs have bled under it also. Therefore, it too has a place in our history and the hearts of many, if not for the reason alone it represents our Anzac as well. Maybe not the AIF, but the ADF, both civilians and military men and women. After all, we are men and women, first as children of the Creator, mostly Christian, Protestant, Imperial, Crown, civilian subjects of the Commonwealth of Australia. Well, we used to be. Besides, our job roles come second from who we are, right? When one stands in unfiltered unity, one is not only concerned of facts, they are concerned about unity, also sending a clear message to rogue out control Parliament. After all, without a united country, we are left divided, and it's no help for to any of us, is it? And this is the problem with what's going on in Canberra. It's dividing us. On a separate note, a sovereign citizen is nothing more than an oxymoron. We are either sovereign individual men and women, self-governing, self-determining, or we're not. Please don't confuse freedom-loving sovereign men and women who wish with those who wish to divide us. The claim of the throne room for our very own king left by our Anzac. And this is why they should be in Melbourne. The case of the throne room, otherwise known as the Blue Chair, State Chair. Claim that there is an Australian kingdom left behind by our Anzacs waiting to be claimed. This is half-truth. When in truth there's an empire, a kingdom of Great Britain torn apart, almost forgotten, that our Anzacs died to defend. This kingdom, this empire, this commonwealth is sitting right there waiting to be reclaimed from the occupying administrators of Rome that stole it right under the nose of those rulers of an unstructured and many other acts of trespass against us. So many of such, there's just too many to list in one article. However, we've addressed many on our website already. Imperial state, Christian Protestant crown on top, and on the throne, blue chair state itself with the Roman St. Edward's crown in the middle. Now, why do you think that is in front and center? It's a statement being made. The Kingdom of Great Britain was under the threat many times in history. However, it was really torn up with the Treaty of Versailles and the creation of the League of Nations, which became the United Nations, by none other than the sly politicians who voted to serve us. And then furthermore, with the collapse of the Imperial Crown Empire, brought about many acts of Parliament trespass seeking independence from the motherland to create the New World Order of Rome. And that's why a lot of people say Australia is the head of Rome, the New World Order. That's why they built another Parliament House on the ley lines and had Walter Burley Griffin and his wife design it. Ley lines intersect from the country, and it's really supposed to be powerful there. The treasonous politicians who did this to the people, all in the name of power and authority of Rome. This is why Queen Lizzie, in her address to the Commonwealth, stated she cannot send us to war or make rules and give us only her love. Politicians tied her hands, and unfortunately, we all let it happen. Many do claim QE2 was in on the whole thing. Well, maybe so. I honestly think she was, because Winston Churchill basically was her go-to guy that used to give her advice on everything that happened. It's also no secret that QE2 never wanted the job, so self-sacrifice could be very well in her plan all along, and going by her actions it looks that way. Also, however, prime proof of this is like trying to find a unicorn. Well, apparently the original King and Queen of England ended up being so bankrupt that the Rothschilds did a deal with them, got them out of bankrupt and gave them property and land, and said, if you give us the crown, the corporation, the empire for 200 years, we will give you such and such. And apparently that ended in the 2020. That's why the number they like. But apparently it ended there. And then, we had all this shit going on. However, the fact that QE2 placed the Roman St. Edward's crown on her head is indeed interesting, especially with the act of settlement and the history between Rome and England has to say. Don't forget Henry cut off the head of the Roman Pontiff, the Vatican Pope. I think it was Henry. The Act of Settlement of 1701 was designed to secure the Protestant succession to the throne and to secure the guarantees for ensuring the parliamentary system of government. The Act also strengthened the Bill of Rights 1689, which had previously established the order of succession for male heirs. Mary's father, James II, had fled England in 1688 during events described as the Glorious Revolution. James's Roman Catholic sympathizers and belief in the divine right of the crown resulted in disgruntled parliamentarians offering the throne to his eldest Protestant daughter, Mary. She accepted on the condition that she would reign jointly with her Dutch husband, William Orange, who became William III. The Act also laid down the conditions under which the crown could be held, no Roman Catholic nor anyone married to a Roman Catholic could hold the imperial crown realm. So the sovereign now had to swear to maintain the Church of England and the imperial crown realm, and after 1707, the Church of Scotland. The Act of Settlement not only addressed the dynastic and religious aspect of succession, it also further restricted the powers and the prerogatives of the crown. Edward was canonised in 1161 and is considered a saint by the Roman Catholic Church, which regards to Edward the Confessor as a patron saint of kings, difficult marriages, and separated spouses. This trespass involves the entire Commonwealth nations over many decades and centuries, and sly moves of a goal of a new global New World Order for Rome. The old Rome never died, it just changed tactics. Reformation really pulled the wind from Rome's sails and began fighting on ever since to reclaim what it lost. The New World Order, or Nero's World Order, is still in play right now and continues slowly writing our rightful constitutional Commonwealth, all its resources, assets, all while fleecing you, the public, dry. You're just a slave, that's all we are. And the New World Order was declared here in Australia, 20th of March last year. Show you the video on that one. Currently going viral, used to grab a New South Wales Health Minister Brad Hazzard describing the as a NWO in a press conference in July. The N logos on the covers for the Gen. So they're doing the misinformation. The Health Minister Brad Hazzard or something saying that the OWN, say it in reverse, is it's doesn't mean anything is what they're basically saying. So I'll play these and show you the rest. So I will have to pause.
World order is, so we're leading by example on social distancing.
Did you get that? Because it wasn't just the health minister saying, it's all over the media.
And that's what the New World Order is, so we're leading by example more like this from now on. Because this is the New World Order is, so we're leading by example a lot more like this, isn't it? And that's what the New World Order...
And it was also on London News, England, as well, I noticed.
Is, so we're leading by example on a lot more like this from now on.
Today is the first full day of the New World Order.
So this was on Channel 10.
Today is the first full day of the New World Order.
It depends on whether we're religious or not.
It's the first full day of the New World Order.
There were many. You just Google it, Australian TV. Try it in your local area. Have you checked? I know a lot of people don't watch the news, but have you checked? And we know March is their go-to day that they like to do this sort of stuff.
World Order.
Here's what's coming up. The New World Order. Our army comes marching in, partnering with police to help enforce the country's tough new quarantine.
So did you hear that?
The New World Order. Our army comes marching in, partnering with police to help enforce.
So that was in March, 25th of March, 25th of the 3rd, 20.
Abortions continue.
Almost 2 years ago, it was made public that the New World Order was here, and no one noticed. Now to the stone of scone argument. Few have stated that we received a coronation stone for services rendered, a stone they themselves refer to as the stone or the stone of destiny. So let's look into this a little. Stone of Scone, also called the Stone of Destiny, the Scottish Gaelic Lafale stone that for centuries was associated with the crowning of Scottish kings, and then in 1296 was taken to England and later placed under the coronation chair. The stone, weighing 336 pounds or 152 kilos, is a rectangular block of pale yellow sandstone, almost certainly of Scottish origin, measuring 26 inches by 16 inches, 41 centimetres by 11 inches, 28 centimetres. A Latin cross is its only decoration. According to one Celtic legend, the stone was once the pillar upon which the patriarch Jacob rested at Bethel, where he beheld the visions of the angels. From the Holy Land, it purportedly travelled to Egypt, Sicily, and Spain, and reached Ireland about 700 BCE to be set up upon the hill of Tara, where the ancient kings of Ireland were crowned. Thereafter it was taken by the Celtic Scots who invaded and occupied Scotland about 840 CE. It was taken by Kenneth MacAlpin to the village of Scone. At Scone, historically, the stone came to be encased in a steel. Stone came to be encased in a seat. John de Bellot was the last Scottish king crowned on it. In 1292, before Edward I of England invaded Scotland on 1296 and moved the stone and other Scottish regalia to London. It was to go in the seat. It's like the Star of David, again depicted by the Catholic Church of Rome. There at Westminster Abbey in 1307, he had a special throne called the coronation chair built so that the stone fitted under it. This was to be a symbol that the kings of England would be crowned as kings of Scotland also. This coronation chair was also referred to as many histories as Edward the Confessor's throne, a Roman Catholic, almost like a shrine to the saint. Born in June 1239 at Westminster, Edward was named by his father, Henry III, after the last Anglo-Saxon king, and his favourite saint, Edward the Confessor, a Roman Catholic king. Edward I's early years brought a flurry of new legislation, some dealing with administration abuses and land reform, while others dealt with widespread conspiracies about the English Jewry. However, at least he upheld and avoided removing the Magna Carta, sort of. Jews were maltreated, attacked, and finally expelled from the realm. They fled to Spain, North Africa, while the bankers of Florence, Siena became the new leaders of choice for England. The Jews would not again be open to England until the rule of Oliver Cromwell, centuries later. In other words, a Calvinistic dictator, Cromwell, would break down the Jewish blockade that was once constructed by the Catholic king, Edward I. They can take our lives, but they can never take our freedom. Remember that? That William Wallace? Sure, they can never take our lives. Ah, yeah. Yeah, Braveheart. Edward forces, and that William Wallace is related to my stepdad. Edward forces, led by Earl of Surrey, defeated the Scottish army at Dunbar in 1296, and Bally was locked away in the Tower of London. Edward dethroned Bally and removed the ancient stone of Scone, also called the Stone of Destiny, which all Scottish kings had to be crowned upon for centuries. He brought it to Westminster, where it sat beneath the English coronation chair for hundreds of years. Scotland was now directly occupied by then Catholic England. Yep, that's right, stolen by a Catholic king. Popular discontent was aroused among the people, particularly under the modest but fierce warrior named William Wallace. Yeah, that's right. He led Scottish forces to victory against the English at the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297, but the following year he was sorely beaten at Falkirk. Wallace continued to fight, but now most of the Scottish nobles had given up and submitted to Edward. In 1298, Wallace was captured and taken to London, where he was hanged, drawn, and quartered. Wallace's limbs were displayed as a warning to 4 different locations in northern England, Scotland, Newcastle, Berwick, Stirling, Aberdeen. Obviously, we're not going to write the whole history, or you, the reader, would be here reading thousands of hours like many of us researching have done here at Sovereign Australia for over 20 years. We're trying to keep it simple. Now ask yourselves, if this stone is locked away in full and never been cut up, how could the stone at the Shrine of Remembrance be the same stone? And why is it not under a throne here? Now here's something to ponder. There are 54 countries in the Commonwealth, in Africa, Asia, the Americas, Europe, and the Pacific. Commonwealth countries are diverse. They are among the world's biggest, smallest, and richest, poorest countries in the world. How many countries were involved in the Treaty of Versailles? Initially, 70 delegates from 27 nations participated in the negotiations. Russia was excluded due to their signing of the separate peace treaty, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, the early withdrawal from the war. Yeah, but because he was the brother of the other guy. How many other Commonwealth countries received the Peace of the Stone? Oh, I'd never thought about that. What about the fact that the stone they refer to is actually made of marble? The sanctuary contains the marble stone of remembrance upon which is engraved in the words, Greater love hath no man, John 15:13, once per year on the 11th of November, 11 a.m. Remembrance Day. A ray of sunlight shines through the aperture of the roof, light up the word love and inscription. I've been there, I've never really thought of that. Show you, I'll dig out the photos I've got. And that shrine of remembrance is just something different. It's got something about it. It's just, it gives you this, you can feel this sort of energy when you like go there. I don't know how to describe it, but I certainly felt it. There are heaps of simple Wilkie searches that will show you. Let's click here. Well, out of the 54 countries of 2021, there are 16 Commonwealth rounds in Jatia and Barbaria, Australia, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize. I think Barbados isn't anymore. Belize, Canada, Granda, Jamaica, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, United Kingdom. What is a realm? Well, a realm is a community or territory over the sovereign rulers. The term is commonly used to describe a monarchical or dynastic state. A realm may also be a subdivision within an empire. A realm is also known a kingdom or a kingdom, the defense of the realm. This doesn't make Australia a kingdom, nor does it mean our Anzacs defended the kingdom of Australia. It means the Commonwealth of Australia is a subdivision within the great empire of Great Britain, a realm of kingdom defended by our Anzacs. Our Commonwealth is part of the kingdom of Great Britain, lest we forget. Unflattering unity is now more important than ever. It was a series of unfortunate events in a time of mass change and a lack of understanding and comprehension of what these events would do to a greater empire as a whole. People lacked the foresight and interest from the general public that seen the once great kingdom fall back into the hands of the Roman cabal. The battle was waged on since the Reformation and the creation of the Church of England and the Christian Protestant Bible. Our Anzac Diggers' Shrine of Remembrance is a beacon of light so that we never forget the sacrifices made to defend the Empire of Great Britain, our Provost immemorial crown realm, and our right to self-determination, self-governance, our self-ownership. It was paid for many times over blood, lest we forget. And this is why these people should not be in Canberra. They shouldn't be there. I get goosebumps as I say this, but you shouldn't be there. You're committing treason. Lest we forget, she currently sits empty awaiting the return of her people who were fooled into joining the citizenship of Rome. Rome was never happy about losing control and great power. Many things transpired not just financially and with laws, boundaries, treaties, handed deals globally to arrive at this point in time, and most can never comprehend the reason for. The throne room in the Commonwealth of Australia with the blue state chair existed for one reason, and that was to perform royal duties when the royals over the ages visited our lands from the British Empire. It was never placed there for a kingdom or a king of Australia. That is misguided misinformation from a certain agenda standpoint of a handful of people. It's most definitely not a fact. Those kingdoms of Australia followers that may read the article, honestly, do you think that the royals sit on while performing official lounge? Come on, seriously. The Christian Protestant Imperial Crown Kingdom of Great Britain that our Anzac died to defend still lives and is waiting to be reborn. This is why the cabal is in such a rush to remove any existence of it, not just here in Australia and New Zealand, but in Canada, India, and so on all over the Commonwealth. It is the same reason why most of our people forget what our red ensign flag represents. The cabal puppets in Parliament across the Commonwealth have done all they can as fast as they can to hide the history away without you waking you, public, to the trespass against us. Most Australians today have no idea what the AIF was because of it. The Roman cabal wants people to think about it's just a boat or a ship flag. However, it's not. The definitions we have looked at show this as a fact. One flag for GovCo, one flag for everything else. Our red ensign flag represents all free Commonwealth people on the land and the waters. Blue and white represents the GovCo machine and the land and the waters. However, the blue should only ever be on GovCo buildings or offices and not flying free over the land. The white naval flag is only on the sea. That is the definition where they belong. So what's the real agenda behind these individuals, you might say? Well, The truth is, it seems these misguided individuals have taken much out of context if they believe or used to believe that they must raise an Australian king to free our people, and their agenda is clearly an attempt to use your emotions and respect for our Anzacs to do it. But really, it's a power grab in our opinion, and you're entitled to your own. It's not ironic that no Australian Anzac military medal, to our knowledge, possesses the Star of David depicted that is on the 1901 unofficial pending version, yet the official 1903 Pacific Star version is. The family, we've got these medals. This 1903 Pacific Star was turned into a medal and given to our serving Anzacs in the mid-40s. I wonder why there's no Star of David design. See our article on the occult to comprehend why. Just use the search bar near the bottom of the web page. Type in a keyword. Don't you, the free men and women with common sense, find these events unfolding odd? Don't you think we deserve better? Do you require only a photo of a man and woman doing something to convict and hold them guilty in a court of law, or do you require facts, due process, and completed evidence without a shadow of doubt before passing a judgment? So why do these people have such an agenda as to state flying any red ensign it flattered unity is wrong, and we must fly the one they state is the correct one? In Sovereign Australia's opinion, these people are here to create division for personal agenda, not that unflattering unity. Why is it they can never produce any of these parliamentary documents to back their claims, and they only rely on weak pictorial photographs? We have been able to do this. The white ensign, at one time called the St. George ensign due to its stimulus existence of a cross version of the flag, is an ensign worn by British Royal Navy ships and shore establishment. It consists of a red St. George cross on a white field and the Union flag in the upper canton. These people claim that if you fly any red ensign flag other than theirs, you are in admiralty jurisdiction, yet their idea is on the St. George ensign. Seriously, come on people, it's time to grow up. It's no secret that our diggers stood under many red ensign flag designs throughout the history. But what about that Star of David on theirs, eh? Many should be aware by now it's significant to the occult and ties to Rome. Our forefathers may have not been, but our Protestant Imperial Crown Kings and Queens would have been indeed. Be it sovereign Australian red ensign overlook the occult symbolism of such a star for the benefit of unflettered unity. However, we do make it clear to its full significance and inform our fellow brothers and sisters of its Imperial Crown Commonwealth Australia as we should. Please don't allow these people to destroy our unflettered unity message and stand freely of your own choosing under any red ensign flag you choose to fly. Don't let these people dictate what we stand for together as one people. The red ensign flag is not only a flag of the people, and it is that of our AOF voluntary Anzacs. It is a symbol of free people, and that we collective masters of our creation called Parliament. Red ensign is not only the flag of the people, and that of our AOF voluntary Anzacs is a symbol of free people, and we collective masters of our creation called Parliament. Remember who you are, and remember there were two colours, one red or one blue, irrespective of what the stars were depicted. One was for the free people, red, the other blue for office. This was never changed until the Menzies changed the law in the 1950s. Until then, you, the free people, could not fly the blue. If one looks and comprehends history, it seems only it took Rome 50 years to place their crown back on the Protestant lands, and that my brothers and sisters was felt worldwide throughout the entire Commonwealth. Since then, well, open your eyes and look around. Since the 50s, they have done nothing but remove one's unalienable rights as a free sovereign man and women under God, liquidated our public assets and resources, and raped us of personal wealth. Time to wake up and get to the trespass against us. Sovereign Australia take no pleasure in writing this article. However, these individuals have been so disrespectful, distasteful, and done downright destructive for so long now. We felt it need to be addressed formally. Until we can accomplish anything when we work together as one in an unflettered unity. Fly your red ensign proudly. Send a message that we will not go silently into the night, nor will we be dictated by those hell-bent on creating division. We thank you for taking the time to read what has been displayed and hope to see all those red dusters flying proud. But yeah, this is why this man got so upset.
Get yourself ahead. Isn't that right, Culliton? You steal my work, but don't comprehend what's underneath it. You have fucked up so bad in Canberra with that flag. It's unfucking believable what you've done. You have mixed politics with a land flag. A big fucking no-no. A big fucking no-no. You let politicians fly your land flag. You've just desecrated the very fucking foundations of your Anzac. You've used and stolen my work continuously and fucked it up. Not realising that Steve was there trying to solidify authority in that flag for you, which has no authority right now. Culliton, you are the biggest fuck up this country has ever seen. You are worse than that idiot Wayne Glue. You have a lot of fucking answers to give these people over what you've done. Taking my work and lying to the cent in return. And you're all out there flying my fucking research down in Canberra, fucking it up. Totally fucking it up. You raised a flag and denied an administrator their flag. You called it capture the flag. What line of authority do you hold?
None.
None.
Hey guys, sorry about that. It just fully froze and then StreamYard closed. I've never seen it do that. Whoa. Okay, it doesn't like that bloke. Didn't like what was being said, obviously. Alright, I got one little short video. Pickle puppet, sorry.
Yeah, Australian lawmakers fear escalation of Canberra protests influenced by Canadian truckers. This guy's a Qantas pilot that got sacked. This guy's an ambulance guy that got sacked. I don't know who this one is. Sydney lawmakers expressed fear on Tuesday that anti-protest in Australia, capital inspired by the trucker-led demonstrations in Canada, could escalate. And these protests, as I said with Canada, gives the United Nations a reason to come in and shut it all down. The protests in Canberra have been energised by the self-described Freedom Convoy, causing havoc in Ottawa, but featured few trucks, have lasted for 8 days and are set to continue until at least the weekend, amid concerns that mostly peaceful atmosphere could deteriorate. I say, get out of Canberra. Feel it coming. As protesters waved signs saying genocide and freedom in front of Parliament, lawmaker Christina Keneally warned that the crowd contained individuals that our national security agencies are worried about. Some of the protesters actually want to undermine and overturn democracy, Keneally, an American-born senator for the Australian Labor Party, told reporters. She cited the arrest of a protest organiser last week after police allegedly found a gun in his car. I'll show you quickly what they're saying in some of these live streams. Now, if you can't see that this man is making hand signals, you need to wake up. Seriously. I'm worried about. This is not good.
That's what's happening with the people. We are emptying this building. We are emptying this building. And if I had my way, when we win this thing, folks, which is very soon, if I had my way, I would get everybody out of Canberra. I would ring this thing and I'd bring in the bombers and I'd take it out.
Now, can you hear the message he's saying? Get out of Canberra, bring the bombers in. Yeah, you see my video the other day about the utopian city and how they never work and how there's been books written about Canberra being bombed and nuked. And guys, if you're in Canberra, get out. They're telling you to get out. You know.
Now, they wouldn't have just some random stranger walk up onto the stage either, because they've got security there. They know who's there. There's just no way some stranger would walk up and be able to speak. It's all planned and part of the script.
Just listen to what they're saying.
Finished. All right? It would be a 9/11 monument.
Yeah. They want to blow it up. Wouldn't surprise me if they did. Now, I was watching this live stream the other day to see what people would do or say, and yeah, the signal's getting blocked there. This is the comments that people are saying. See?
We've seen many instances where they're using cars to kill people and false flags too. Christmas parade one. The Burke Street here in
Build
Australia.
the damn gallows. There's so much shit going on in these chats. It's not good, guys. Not good. Protest organisers, politicians who support the demonstrations rejected her claim, and a few hours later another lawmaker welcomed 8 demonstrators into the capital so they could deliver a list of demands. I thought these people deserved the chance to get their demands delivered directly to the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, so I was more than happy to facilitate that, said Craig Kelly, who leads the far-right United Australia Party in Australia's House of Representatives. Basically, he's committed an act of treason by telling another member of Parliament what to do and letting them in. Bringing that flag in, he's just set it all up. It's what people don't realise. Craig Kelly was in there for 20 years. He had 20 years to do something. Yeah, the Canadian convoy had inspired similar protests around the world, including New Zealand, where the capital, Wellington, was also the site of a noisy demonstration on Tuesday, in Europe, where truckers are planning to descend on Brussels. Now, all last year they were trying to get trucks to protest. I've made several about it. The other thing is, why are people here in Australia encouraging trucks to protest when there's supposed to be a shortage of that shit they put in it, made of the urea, AdBlue. What we were only supposed to have a month's supply, and that was supposed to run out in January. Intech Pivot got a short-term extension to continue to make it. So why would people be encouraging that? So the government can blame the truckies for no food in the shops when there's no food. Like I said, in Canada, when you people have no food in your shops, no medical supplies, you're going to turn on your fellow citizens. This possibility of further unrest is real in Australia, where several protests in Melbourne turned violent last year. Last year they tried to do the right thing by going to the War Memorial, and they had all these thugs in there that just made a whole mess of it. The Australian Federal Police have expelled protests from one Canberra location last week and said they soon will need to clear another one if the demonstrators don't leave. During a related post in late December, demonstrators set fire to Australia's old Parliament House, causing serious damage and leading to several arrests. Now, there was also Parliament House in South Africa caught fire. And Parliament House in India caught fire as well. So all of these fires are going on. Parliament House, 4th of February 2022. So all of these are happening around the same time. Police estimated Tuesday's crowd, 1,000 people. Oh, there was more than that. More than that. Protesters said their ranks were far higher. So far, the demonstrators have remained mostly peaceful, according to Kaz Ross, an independent researcher into far-right extremism and conspiracy theorist, has been closely following the self-convoy to Canberra. The demonstrators have drawn followers, ideologies, she said, but one that has dominated is Australia's sovereign citizen movement. And that's the thing. You can't claim sovereign citizen unless you know what you're saying and doing, like Hutt River with that fellow, that Prince guy I made a video about. This is the only man and family in Australia to be granted the sovereign citizen rights on their land. They had a wheat farm. They didn't like what they were having to do and all that. But another thing I just noticed here, look, he's got that one eye open and that one's half down. Strange. Notice that. Okay. This man, he created his own micronation. Prince Leonard, he's deceased. Did it for a long time, and Queen Elizabeth recognised him a few times. Hutt River Province. He's the only man, succeeded by his son Graham, and he never became a king because he never had any subjects. But yeah, this man never paid tax, nothing, you know. ATO tried to get money, but he knew the Constitution and knew that the ATO should not exist, the Australian Tax Office. So, I mean, if you're to do that, you need to know the law, you need to know everything about the Constitution, everything. Printed his own money, everything. Leave the links in the description. To the international conspiracy theories, governments have been co-opted by illegal corporations, so sovereign citizens or free men should ignore their laws, our politicians, and restore the publics. Yeah, it goes back to the Holy See running the country. Where is it? The Holy See, Vatican took over. I did have one open. I was reading about it before. I know they've been here for a while, but yeah, it goes back to the Vatican. They came in the 1830s. According to Canberra, protests have drawn energy from the demonstrators in Canada, but Australia's sovereign citizen movements have been building for months under the pandemic. She said some of the early organisations were truck drivers, but few Australian truckers own their own vehicle. Bullshit. Most of the truck drivers that I know knew nothing about it, nothing at all, and they said that they would not even be involved in something like that because they got a work job to do. And if they stop delivering food, you guys aren't going to have the stuff in your shelves. You're not going to have the stuff you like to use. You're not going to have the games. You're not going to have everything you love to do. And then you're going to turn on them. And then also with these new terror laws, if you block a highway, a border, a port, or any government institution, you can be immediately jailed under the terror laws that they brought in last year. So a lot of them I know aren't stupid. They just won't get involved. Meaning the broad and leafy streets of Canberra were unlikely to be clogged with 18-wheelers anytime soon. Canberra protests quickly developed a communal feel with people whose attitudes had made them piranhas in one of the most highly in the world. Suddenly found themselves among people who shared their beliefs. Ross said protesters organised meals, camping gear and even massages. They are setting up for an occupation, whereas the Ottawa thing looks is a blockade, he said. Comparing the Canberra protests to the Occupy Wall Street movement that took over some American parks in heaven, they are building something they see as sustainable and they see themselves as there for the long haul. See, they're trying to do what the Aboriginals did with Tent City. Aboriginals had a tent city out the front of Parliament for a long time. Years and years that I remember in the 80s and 90s. And it went to the England Privy High Court with the Mabo cases, and that's where they got all their land rights back. Ross said she expected the number of protesters to spike this weekend and that there is potential for violence in the coming weeks when they realise their list of demands is not going to be met. See, they should have the Aboriginal people going down to the war memorial and claiming their land. That's what they should have done. All these things are coming to a boiling point, she said. On Monday, one protester organised ended the video with the allusion to hanging the Prime Minister, while another in another clip, the protester warned a far-right lawmaker to stay away from Parliament, adding that if he had his way, he would call in the bombers to wipe it out. In an interview later, the lawmaker, Senator Malcolm Roberts from One Nation Party, said the protests have been peaceful and respectful aside from a small group. They were trying to hijack things and they had no success whatsoever. They were set aside. He said I don't see the very violent in the crowd that I addressed yesterday. Some of the lawmakers supportive of the protests, however, worry that the situation could deteriorate. The longer things go on, the more things go astray, said Senator Gerard Rennick, member of the ruling Conservative coalition who has fallen out with Prime Minister Scott Morrison. But hopefully they will get their message across this week and many people will have to return home. Capital's top elected official, Andrew Barr, said protesters were unlike other demonstrators who often come to Canberra. The right to protest doesn't extend to stalking our city, harassing business owners and residents, and aggressively flatten the law, he said on Monday. This is one of the most vaxxed cities on earth, she said. Message from protesters could not have had a less receptive audience. Yeah. Get out of there. Seriously. Get out. It's not good. And then there's this one going on about how they busted a spy ring on those dating sites or Tinder and shit. Domestic spy agency conducted an assessment in 2007 warning about the implications of. Mr. Burgess said we assessed that the pandemic will result in an increase in anti-government behaviours, and we have certainly seen while ASIO's terror caseload has reduced over the past 12 months, there have been a rise in radicalisation and specific issue grievances, he said. We've seen threats against public holders on the clinic, several physical assaults on healthcare workers. We assess that these tensions and associated possibly continued lockdowns and other restrictions will continue to drive this thing with certainty and fear. Mr. Burgess said ASIO did not investigate peaceful protest or discontent, but was concerned where the opinions to tip in the promotion of violence or actual facts of violence. The most likely terrorist attack scenario over the next 12 months continued to be a lone actor attack. While there were no domestic terrorists in the past year, there were two major disruptions of violent extremist attacks. Said minors now represent 15% of the new counter-terrorist investigations. Children as young as 13 are now embracing it. Guys, can you not see it? And this stuff about the dating platforms such as Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, this is to take your like your privacy away so they can snoop. That's what that is. Guys, come on, get out of Canberra. Spy boss warned Australia could face a deadly attack in the next year. Australia's top spy chief warns there will be a terror attack within the next 12 months. ATO Director Mike Burgess spoke at an inquiry in Canberra. He said there's a growing risk posed by neo and right-wing extremist groups. This was the 29th of April 21. Terror attacks within the next year, a nation's top spy boss has said in a startling warning. ASIO Direct still poses a significant risk to Australia. There is also a rising threat from white nationalist groups. In the past 3 years, investigations to underground and other ringed extremists have surged 16% of the agency caseloads to 40%. We have credible intelligence that individuals and small groups have the capability, intent, and we, on that basis, assess that it is likely to be an attack sometime in the next 12 months, he told the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security. So in other words, they're organising it, they're planning it. Australia's threat level remains probable, but Intelligence Chief did not specify which group the attack is likely to come. Given the growth that we've seen in nationalist and environmental extremists, we anticipate there could be an attack in the country in the next 12 months, and it could come in either form or ideology, he retaliated. For me, it doesn't really matter because they're both capable of actually conducting acts of violence, and that's where we focus. He acknowledged Sunni-based violence remains the greatest threat in the capital cities, as battle-hardened foreign fighters who travel to Syria under the look to return home. Counter-terrorism legislation, along with policy settings and other response options, are all under review by the committee. I don't believe this shit. Ridiculous. As well as fighting extremists with typical surveillance law enforcement tactics, the hearing is also trying to examine other ways to combat the threat. We need to know why people are driven to these views, Mr. Burgess said. Continues to resonate with extremists in Australia, and such messages drawn to a younger audience. It's the white supremacy racist narrative that does not resonate with some Australians, not at all, but there are a number that does, and that's a bit of concern. And I find that hard to believe because most people I know in Australia are not racist. You got a couple of ethnic minorities that come from overseas that are racist, but they're not actually born and bred Aussies. You have very few Aussies that are racist. We're a very multicultural society. Very multicultural, but not many are racist.
So cool. Thanks for watching, guys. I thought I'd share those. This is stuff that has been nagging me and nagging me. I had this horrible feeling that they're gonna, do something, and the people are gonna get hurt. It's just sad, really sad. I don't know if you guys seen it. I'm just going to share the first minute or so of this video, and then I'll probably leave it. I'll drop a link, if someone wants to say hello.
Alright, I'm going to show you these things, ready? These are the quarantine buildings, and these are each rooms. Now see these wires, this is a window. Why do you think they got the wire in the window? It hooks up because they've got a massive roller shutter that keeps you in. This electronic door, which will make it lock, turn the air conditioner off or on. There's that much gadgets, these buildings, what is it, 900,000 or 900,000 each building.
That's a lot to make. Like, you could build a lot of houses for that. You could probably build 3 houses for that price. It's just ridiculous the amount it's costing.
It's going to be all linoed in here.
I bet they got microphones and a few hidden cameras in there to listen to you as well.
The windows are double glazed, so you won't be able to punch out of it.
So is it hermetically sealed?
It's solid. Each room. This is where you'll be sleeping. Toilet, bathroom, kitchen, TV. They're going to have double beds, so there'll be 2 people per room. And it's little prisons, size of little remand buildings.
Don't these people building them think that they won't be locked up in them too?
This is the thing.
The Polish thought that when they were building their camps over there. They didn't think they would end up in them.
All these buildings is connected a gas pipe that is connected to nothing. right here.
Is it a gas pipe or a water pipe?
The rest of the building, the air conditioning, hot water, electrical and that. What's this for here? It's through the wall. It's through. It's going to come through the ventilating.
Okay. We know what happened last time they did that, don't we?
Right. Are they going to gas us in these? Actually, don't.
Probably, if you're thinking it, you know they're going to.
I'm starting to think they're not for the unvaccinated. They're more for the vaccinated when something happens.
So they say, but no.
Show you one that's starting to get sheeted. And the only weak point is underneath this window. You have to smash through the wall and get through the tin.
Sure. Not like they're going to hear you, you know, put banging and shit.
So yeah, guys, that's that one. It was from the other day when I made the video, but those were the camp buildings that they're building. To me, it looks like they're hermetically sealed. Looks like history is repeating, and you know the saying, if you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it. Yeah, it's just sad. It's really sad. Like, so many people are just leading the others astray. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Just, yeah, like, share, subscribe, and we'll keep trying to help people. So thank you very much, everyone. You raise your vibrations. Much love, and stay strong. Bye now.